we shall start. Now we shall start our today's session. As you know, the today topic is understanding and responding to the notices. Now, this is one of the important topic. Reason being, we now have seen in the last year 2017-18. For 2017-18, lot of notices has been issued and even order has been passed. As you are well aware, that 17-18 last day for issuance of show cause notice was September and the passing of order was December. Similarly, for 18-19 also, the last date was December for issuance of show cause notice. However, they have extended this timeline and now March, this January 24 is the last day for issuance of show cause notice, and after which they have 3 months time to pass order. So as you are seeing that earlierly we were busy with the GST compliances. Now time has come that we gear up for the litigation purpose also. Multiple notices has been issued and how we should approach that notices, which is what matter. The problem is the moment we saw the notices, we should not neither panic nor jump to the response, because it's very important how you analyze those notices and how you draft the reply for the same. To say you, it's always not the same to reply a notice in a one format. I mean to say you can't obtain or can't freeze one pattern and keep on replying. You have to understand when the before issuance of notice, when they do inquiry, verification, audit, or investigation, officers seek you multiple documents. Go through the same. After going through it, they issue you your observation, a preliminary inspection report, what they have observed, what the discrepancy is, and then you reply. But you notice that after submission of reply also to those audit query or investigation replies, then also same may be culminated into show cause notice. So here it is important to know what should be respond in order to make sure it should not convert it into show cause notice. Even if it is converted into show cause notice, what step you should take to make sure that the moment you proceed further in this adjudicating proceeding, the things which need to be taken care is taken care at the first step. And why it is important, we are going to discuss in our this session. So with me, Jagadeesh is there, who is going to take you through this, what are the notices there and how we are going to respond for it. Jagadeesh, over to you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for your introduction. Let me share my screen. Yeah. Hope my screen is visible to you.
Yeah, it's visible.
Yeah. Yes. The agenda of today's session is first we will discuss about the different types of notices under GST, and then the time limit within which we have to respond for those notices and how to respond to those notices, that also we will discuss. And at the end we will discuss about effect of not responding to notices. Along with this, we will also discuss about the updates of GST R1. So starting with, yes. First, we'll see the different aspects of the taxation. Levy. We all know levy defines the chargeability. Okay. It means whether it determines whether any particular transaction or a particular activity is subject to levy or not. It will determine. Once that particular activity or transaction is subject to levy, then the next step is assessment. Assessment is a quantification process. In this, under this process, what shall be the value of goods and services shall be determined, and what will be the rate of tax applicable, and what type of tax needs to be discerned, and whether there is an exemption or abatement is there, is there. We have to assess under this quantification process. Obviously, next to the levy and the assessment process, the collection will come into the picture. The collection, it is a process of collection by the government. It may be the payment of tax or under the regular 39. We normally pay the taxes under section 39. That is, along with the 3B, we'll pay the tax. That is the self-assessment tax, and in the audit, demands, and recovery. This is all about the different aspects of the taxation. First, we'll see what type of notices we may expect from the department, GST department, maybe from the registration. If there is any defect or deficiency in the application for registration, then the department may issue notice in the form REG 03. And for against that notice, we have to submit our reply within the 7 days. And also, they may issue the notice for the composition scheme also in the section 10 of the CGST Act. There are some conditions prescribed. If we violate any of those conditions, then department may ask for the show cause why we deny the benefit of the composition scheme. And also coming to the refund also. The refund, if there is any defect or deficiency, department may issue the show cause notice under RFD 08. Coming to the ITC, where the taxpayer has availed the ITC, wrongly availed the ITC or utilized the ITC, and in that case also, department issue the notice and may carry out the adjudication process under 73, 74. And coming to the non-filing of the returns, even in this case also, department will issue the first notice under section 46, and they will adjudicate under section 62. And coming to the audit may be the section 65, that is the departmental audit, or the special audit, that is under section 66. They may issue any of the notice. And coming to the inspection, search, and seizure, that is, they may issue notice under section 67 to carry out the search if they have the evidence that there is a loss to the revenue. And coming to the and next, assessment, demand, and recovery, that is under 74 and 74, 73, 74, and 79, that recovery proceedings. They may issue the notice under this. And movement of the goods, this is related to the e-way bill. Coming to the penalty, section 122 enlists the list of offences. If we committed any of the offences, then there may be a chance of issuing notice under section 122. That is the penalty. We'll discuss in detail about all these notices in detail in the next slides. Let's start with the assessment. What type of assessments are there in the GST? So section 59 to section 64 deals with the assessment. So GST, as we all know that GST is the self-assessment based taxation. So section 59 deals with self-assessment by the taxpayer. And department will also carry out the assessment, and we'll see what type of assessment department tax authorities will do. And provisional assessment, section 60 deals with the provisional assessment. This assessment will be done where the taxpayer is unable to assess the value of the goods and what rate of tax he can make an application to the department, and the department will accept to pay the tax on the provisional basis, and later it will assess and pass the final order. Coming to the summary assessment. This is summary assessment covered under section 64, where the department has a reason to believe that there is a loss of revenue. Then they will conduct the summary assessment and issue the notice under section 64. Coming to the scrutiny of the returns. Section 61 deals with the scrutiny of returns. This will discuss in details in the later slides. And department can also conduct a best judgment assessment in case of non-filers, non-filing of the returns, and unregistered person. They will do the best judgment assessment in both these cases, for non-filer of returns and unregistered person. So ASMT 10. Section 61 deals with scrutiny of returns. The proper officer, just a second. Okay. Section 61 deals with the scrutiny of returns. Actually, scrutiny of returns is called as a pre-adjudication process. The proper officer can scrutinize the return for correctness. If there are any discrepancies identified, then he would first he will communicate to us in the form ASMT 10. Actually, GST law has prescribed certain forms only through which department communicate to us. So to inform the deficiencies, to communicate the deficiencies to the taxpayer, department had to issue ASMT 10, and against this ASMT 10, taxpayer has to respond within 30 days in the form ASMT 11. In the form ASMT 11. So in case of explanation provided by the SSC is found acceptable, then the same would be informed in ASMT 11 and no further action to be taken. If it is the explanation what we have provided to the officer is found satisfactory, then the departmental officer will issue us the ASMT 12. First, he will communicate the discrepancies in ASMT 10. Against to that, we will give our response in ASMT 11, and against to that, if our explanation is found satisfactory, then the department will issue the ASMT 12. There itself, it will get closed. What happens if we not respond, and or the explanation what we provided in the ASMT 11 is not found satisfactory to the department officer? So if the tax person does not, if we have not given satisfactory explanation within 30 days, or we have not rectified the discrepancies, then the officer has the right to conduct an audit under section 65. That is a detailed verification of all the things, and he may also request for the special audit under section 66, and can also initiate such seizure proceedings under section 67, or directly he may issue show cause notice under 73, 74. Rule 99. Already we discussed about this ASMT 10, 11, and 12. So instruction number 2/2023 has provided how returns will get selected for the scrutiny. So it provided that DGRM, that is the Director General of Analytics and Risk Management, based on certain risk parameters, they will select the returns. And under this section 61, scrutiny of the return, they cannot seek for additional information. Whatever the information that we provided in the return, only that they can use to do the assessment and give the notice under section 61. They cannot row now. They cannot ask for additional information and do the reassessment again. And reply of the notice by the registered person should be given within 30 days or further period permitted by the proper officer. But the portal is allowing only 30 days. Beyond 30 days, portal is not accepting reply in ASMT 11. And what type of issues section 61 may cover? That is scrutiny of the return. There may be the difference of GSTR 1 and 3B and ITC mismatch between 3B and 2B. If there is any exempted or non-GST turnover, and 61 notice may ask to reverse the ITC. If you have not reversed the ITC under Rule 42 or 43, it may ask. And also verification of the ITC. If our supplier is registration is cancelled, or he has not filed his 3B, and supplier registration is found to be fake registration, in such cases they may ask to reverse the ITC on all these suppliers. So this is an example, one example of the section 61 notice. If you see here, they have given notice for the 4 periods: June, September, December, and March 19, because they might have found discrepancies only in these 4 months. That is the tax value reported in R1 and GST 3B. So if you provide the reason for this in the ASMT 11, then, or if we accept the liability and pay the tax on the short amount, then the department officer will issue the ASMT 12. There itself, the assessment will get done. If you see the next notice, you can see here that during scrutiny of the return for the tax period referred to above discrepancies noticed and have been mentioned in the attached annexure. If that annexure is not available in the quarter lot, they have not sent the annexure, and they are asking for additional information. Can we can we submit that additional information? The answer is no. They cannot ask for the additional information. Whatever the information available in the returns, only on that they can do the assessment, but they cannot ask for the additional information under section 61. And coming to the ASMT 13. notice for non-filers of the returns. Section 62 deals with this non-filer of the return. If the taxpayers have failed to file their return, then first they will issue the notice under section 46. What type of returns they may ask? Section 39, that is the GST 3B, and section 44 annual return and 45 final return. The taxpayer have not filed all these returns, then first they will issue the notice under section 46. If they file the return within the within 15 days from the date of issue of notice, then automatically section 46 notice will get withdrawn. Still, if they have not filed the returns even after 15 days of serving the notice, then the proper officer will do the best judgment assessment based on the available information with him, and then he will issue the assessment order. If we file after issuing the assessment order, if we file the return within 30 days of serving the notice under section 62, then the notice under section 62 will get withdrawn. Even after 30 days, I have not filed the return, then the assessment 13, ASMT 13 will become the final order, and against that order we can file the appeal. If I have not filed the appeal, and then recovery proceedings under section 79 will be initiated. So what are the recovery proceedings under section 79? We will see it in the later slides. And within what time the assessment order under section 62, that is for non-filer of the returns, can be passed. So if you see here, within 5 years from the due date of filing annual return of that specific financial year. Okay. Within that period only, department can issue the notice for the non-filers. Let's take 2017-18. For the period of 2017-18, due date of filing annual return is 5th or 7th February 2019. So 5 years from 2019 will get end on 2025. So up to 2025 February, they can issue the notice under section 62, but before that only registration will get cancelled because of non-filing of the returns. And rule 100 mandates to upload the summary order in the form DRC 07 along with the ASMT 13 in the portal. So against DRC 07, you can file an appeal. This is an example of notice under section 62. So because of even after 30 days, here the taxpayer have not filed their return. So they have made the best judgment assessment and passed an order. So if you see here, what they have, how they have arrived the tax liability, whatever the tax they have declared in the previous tax period, they have added 10%. Based on that, they have arrived the output tax liability, and whatever the ITs available in the GST 2A, they have taken 50%. Other 50% they have considered it as an ineligible, and to that they have added interest till the date of the order. In the total, they have arrived the liability. So there is no prescribed method of doing the best judgment assessment. Whatever the information available with the departmental officer, they can proceed with that. He can also deny the 100% input tax credit. They can also straight away give this liability. We cannot ask them. So there is no prescribed method or the rule to do the best judgment assessment. So it is always advisable to respond within the time limits. Now coming to the ASMT 13.
1 minute.
Yeah.
Just back slide. Previous one. Okay. If you will notice, every time whenever Jagadeesh is speaking, he is stressing one on the scope of the section. And second, he is stressing on the various form for which it has been issued. Third, the types. Because it's very important to understand, unlike previous GST regime, where there were no proper forms were mentioned, it was just show cause notice, order. The officer used to give one letter and say that to produce the document. This all has been done away. Now for everything, under GST law, there is a procedure stabilized. And it's not only the SSC, but officer also need to ensure that they follow that procedure. Like when he deals about the section 61, when he says about scrutiny of written, you would have noticed he has said about 3 form 10, 11, 12. 10 start with notice, 11 with reply, 12 with the conclusion of order. Now, order of 12 will come only when it is in your favor, means when he is satisfied. Another thing, 61, when you deal, there is a specific scope of it. It's not that what he wants he can do. It's only restricted to discrepancy of returns. You may notice sometime by way of ASMT 10, they ask anything even though there is no discrepancy. Just for example, if we take this export, if we are engaged in both domestic or export or exclusively in export also, multiple notices they issued and asked us to produce document to substantiate that it is actually an export. Now the thing is this a discrepancy of written? The first question which you should ask. Reason being, discrepancy of written means there is a different data in different thing. When your GSTR1, your GSTR3B, your GSTR99C filed by you has no discrepancy, how it can be said to be discrepancy of written and they can ask for you for the export document. This is one type of example we are giving just to make sure whenever any notice came, it should be read from the top. From starting, it should start office of who is the issuing officer, what's the date, everything should be read down. Which section it has been, how you have to reply, that's a different thing. But the first thing is to scrutinize the notice, which is what Jagadeesh is focusing on. Like when he came for assessment of non-filer, he said there is an option of best judgment to the officer. He showed us how the officer is issuing notice by assuming the tax liability, by assuming the ITC, as you have not filed. And but it may be noted that even though they have been given the power, it doesn't mean they can do as per their wish. Even though they do, that's a different thing. But they can't do. They have to also apply their fair mind. Reasonableness is one of the principles which is stand in law. Even though while applying best judgment, while considering any value as a taxable, by allowing any ITC disallowance, they also need to give me explanation while doing best judgment, why they didn't consider, why they didn't. So all they also need to pass in speaking notice. It's not the case they will pass whatever they want. Another important point of 62 is, like in 61, we notice ASMT 12 as an order in favor if officer is satisfied. But you will be noticing most of the time when you reply, you may not be getting ASMT 12, but it is advisable if any one of you have received ASMT 10. I should not say any one of you, as most of us have received ASMT 10. And if you have replied, an officer has said, it's okay, I understood the case. It's better you get and obtain ASMT 12 because nobody knows when they will reopen the case. Reopening, though not permitted, but there are the circumstances when it could arise. So you should be very careful. Now, when we come to 62 non-filer, if you will notice, it talks about only non-filing. But it to be noted that they does not say what you furnish in return should be valid. Once you file your return, even with incorrect data, 62 proceeding get closed because it deals with non-filing. So once you filed, you came out of the non-filing, they can't do anything under 62 because it's only talk about filing of return, whether nil, incorrect data, it doesn't matter because 62 proceeding will get closed. Even though you have furnished wrong data, they have to take recourse of another section, like they can take of 61, 73 or 74, which we are going to deal in our subsequent slide. That's why he is focusing a lot of the facts that you need to take care while replying to your notices. Jagadeesh, over to you.
So coming to the, as I discussed in the previous slide, that the order under ASMT 13 is an appealable order. Against this, we can file an appeal under section. It is an appealable order under section 107. So if the appeal is not filed against the ASMT 13, that is within the 3 months or extended time period of 1 month, we have not filed an appeal, then the recovery proceedings under Section 79 would be initiated. So how they recover? Through the bank attachment, or they may issue DRC 13 to our banker to pay the amount, whatever the due to the department. So they may ask to pay directly to the department, and they may initiate the garnishing proceedings also. That is, they ask our customer to pay directly to the GST department instead of to the taxpayer. So if there is any refund claim, so they may hold the refund amount also. And also recovery of tax as an areas of the state tax. So in all these ways, they can recover under Section 79. Coming to the Section 63, unregistered person, assessment of unregistered person. If the taxable person who is liable for the registration but failing to obtain the registration, then the department officer will do the best judgment assessment and issue the notice under section under form ASMT 14. Whereas ASMT 13 is an order, whereas ASMT 14 is a notice. Along with the ASMT 14, DRC 01 summary of the order, summary of the notice have to be uploaded in the form DRC 01. Against this ASMT 14, reply has to provided within the 15 days, and personal hearing is also has to be provided to the taxpayer. So against this, the taxpayer has to provide the reply in the ASMT 15. So, sorry, the assessee need to file the reply, and the department officer is satisfied with our reply, then the final order will be passed in the ASMT 15. If there is any non-payment of the tax or the short payment of the tax, then the DRC 07 will be issued. That is, summary order has to be uploaded along with the DRC 07. So within what period of time the department officer can issue the notice under Section 63? For this also, 5 years from the due date of filing of annual return for the respective financial year. That is, Section 44 deals with the annual return. It also covers the cases where registration is also cancelled, where the assessee is applied for the registration, but his registration is cancelled. In that case also, department can proceed with under Section 63. Many of the person will think that for unregistered person, department cannot do the assessment, but department has a power under Section 63 to do the assessment for unregistered persons also. So coming to the audit under Section 65. This is the audit intimation. So if the department wants to conduct an audit under Section 65, straightly they cannot initiate the audit. They come to our premises and cannot commence the audit. First, they have to communicate their intent that the department want to conduct an audit. So that communication should be in the form ADT01. Through ADT01, first they have to seek the information, the list of records, and what are the information they want. First they have to ask in ADT01. Then only they can commence the audit. So we'll see what is the procedure for the audit under Section 65, ADT01. First, the audit will be selected based on certain risk parameters. This also DGARM will give the list of taxpayers on which department has to conduct the audit. First, they will, as I discussed in the previous slide, but they have to issue the audit notice in the ADT01 prior to the audit commencement. Audit can be conducted at the department premises or the taxpayer premises. Audit can be conducted anywhere. If the assessee cooperates and submit all the information, audit normally completed within the 3 months. If the commissioner satisfied that audit cannot be concluded in the 3 months, then he may give the extension for further 3 months. So from the date of commencement to audit should conclude within the 6 months from the date of commencement. But most of the cases, audit is not concluding within the 6 months. There are a lot of reasons and factors for not concluding the audit within even after the extended period. So after the audit, first department has intimate the audit findings in the form ADT01A. That is the normally this we call as an spot memo or the discrepancy notice under Rule 101. After that, against the discrepancy notice or the audit finding, we will file the reply for all the audit findings. If they are satisfied, they will drop it in the drop and will issue the final audit report in the ADT02. And after there itself, the audit will get closed. The audit officer will not have the adjudication power. So after the closing of the audit, then the proceedings under section 73 and 74 will be initiated. That is, the show cause notice will be issued under DRC 01. So demand notice under section 73, 74 read with section 75. So section 73 deals with fraud, non-fraud cases. That is where there is no willful misstatement or the suppression of the fact to avoid the tax. So section 73 deals with that, whereas section 74 deals with the fraud cases. That is cases involving fraud, willful misstatement, or the suppression of the facts to avoid the tax. So we'll see what is section 73, 74, and 75 in detail in the later slides, and what are the powers are there for the three, and what the department can demand. Department can demand the tax which is not paid or the short paid, or if we claim the excess refund, that is erroneous refund, or the ITC which was wrongly availed and utilized. All these department can be demanded. Up to what period tax can be demanded? So in case of non-fraud cases, that is the under section 73, 3 years from the due date of the annual return. Whereas in the fraud cases, 5 years. That is the fraud cases, willful misstatement of facts or the suppression of the facts. In all these cases, 5 years from the due date of the annual return of the respective financial year. Okay. And coming to the time limit for determination of adjudication levies. In case of fraud, willful misstatement, suppression, are not eligible in the show cause notice. That is in non-fraud cases. In case of tax and input tax credit, adjudication levies within the 3 years from the due date of furnishing annual return of the respective financial year. Whereas in case of the erroneous refund, the time limit starts from the date of refund. That is 3 years from the date of the refund. Whereas in case of the fraud cases, that is fraud alleged in the show cause notice. In case of the tax and ITC, 5 years from the due date of furnishing annual return. Whereas in case of erroneous refund, 5 years from the date of refund. So what is the time limit to issue the show cause notice? Nowhere in the GST Act there is a time limit prescribed to issue the show cause notice. Only they have mentioned that to pass an order, they have prescribed a time limit. But to pass an order, there is a condition that in case of non-fraud cases, show cause notice should be issued at least 3 months prior to the date of the order in case of non-fraud cases. Whereas in case of fraud cases, that is under section 74, show cause notice has to be issued at least 6 months prior to the date of issuance of the final order. That is, if you see here limited in fraud cases, that is fraud, misstatements, or suppression, 6 months prior to the issuance of order. Let's say if the limitation period ends this 31st December 2024, and then they have to issue the show cause notice by 30th September 2024 in case of non-fraud cases. Whereas in case of fraud cases, they have to issue the show cause notice on or before 30th 6 2024, because at least 6 months prior to the passing the final order. For the final order, there is a time limit prescribed. So if you want to issue the order on 31st December 2024, in case of fraud cases, we have department had to issue the show cause notice on or before 30th June 2024. Otherwise, that order will be the invalid. So department has extended the time limit to issue the show cause notice for the 2017, 18, 18, 19, 19, 20 through the notification number 9/2023. They have extended the time limit to pass an order under section 73, 74. not to issue the show cause notice. Okay, to pass an order, they have extended the time limits. First, they have extended the time limits to pass an order under section 73, 30th September 2023. The actual time period is 5th February 2023. By 5th February 2023, 3 years get over because actual due date of filing annual return is 5th February 2020. Okay. So from here, 3 years will get expired on 5th February 2023. This time period has extended further by 3 months, sorry, up to September 30th. And further, this increased to 31/12/2023. So for passing an order, they have increased the time period. Automatically, show cause notice to issue time period for issue the show cause notice will also get increased. So it will get expired on 31/12/2023. Automatically, to pass and show cause notice will also get extended to 30 September 2023. Similar way, for 1819, they have extended the time period up to 31/3/2024. But again, recently, they have issued one more notification. They have extended to time limit to pass an order up to 30th April 2024. That is why the Ashika specified that to pass an order for to issue a show cause notice for 2018-19, the time limit is up to 31st Jan 2024. Similarly, for 1920, time limit to pass an order for non-fraud cases is 31st August 2024, and the 3 months prior to this is 31st May 2024 to issue show cause notice. For 2021, 21, 22, 22, 23, they have not yet extended the time limits. Similarly, in case of the non-fraud fraud cases, that is to pass an order under Section 74, they have not extended any time limits. Personal time limit they are there. That is within 5 years from the due date of filing annual return. The extended due date of filing annual return is 5th February 2020. From here, 5 years will get expired on 20th February 2025. So 6 months prior to this order will get expired on 31st August 2024. So in case of fraud cases, they have to issue the show cause notice at least 6 months prior to the date of the order. Similarly, for 1819, it will get expired on 31/12/2025, and 6 months prior to this is 30/6/2025. Similarly, 2021, 21, 22, 22, 23. There is no extension of time limit to pass an order under Section 74. Only they have extended the time limit under Section 73. Hope it is clear. Yeah, ma'am. Would you like to add anything, ma'am?
No.
Yeah, okay. Coming to the Section 73 and 74. Okay, if the order is passed under Section 73 and I have made the payment on or before the date of passing the show cause notice, or I have made the payment within 30 days of issuing the show cause notice, then I have made the tax. Along with the tax, I have made the interest also. In that case, there will be no penalty. If I pay the tax and interest after expiring the 30 days from the date of issue of the show cause notice, in that case, the maximum penalty is 10% of the tax or the 10,000. Only the tax amount, not the interest amount here. Whereas in the Section 74, if I make the payment of the tax along with the interest before the issue of the show cause notice, then I need to pay the penalty of 15%. Okay. And if I made the payment of the tax along with the interest within 30 days from the date of show cause notice under 74, then I need to pay the 25% of the penalty. If I made the payment within 30 days of communication of order in original, then the 50% of penalty I have to pay. So coming to the Section 75, wherein appellate authority or appellate tribunal, the court concludes that notice issued under Section 74, that is the fraud cases, is not sustainable for the reason that charges of fraud have not been established. That is, the Section 74 notice is not sustainable because of not proving that there is a fraud. In that case, the proper officer shall determine the tax payable by such person deeming as if the notice were issued under section 73, not under section 74. Okay, and the order should be the speaking order. That means uh, the rationale behind their decision has to be provided in this order, under which section, under which provision make them to pass this order, and the rationale behind the decision should all be there in the order. And the penalty imposed under section 73 or the 74, no penalty for no penalty under any other section cannot be imposed. So as per, if you see the section 75 subsection 7, the department cannot go beyond the scope of show cause notice. Only the matters what they have mentioned in the show cause notice, only on that they can pass an order. Other than the matters what they have referred in the show cause notice, they cannot pass an order. Only those matters what they have discussed, provided in the show cause notice, only on those they can pass an order. And that is what section 75 subsection 7 is saying. So coming to the mode of service. So section 169 deals with the modes of service of the notice. Physical delivery. It involves hand delivering the notice either directly or by messenger or by courier. Dispatch delivery. It is by courier or the speed post with an acknowledgement, or electronic mode, that is uploading in the portal or through the email. Print media, publishing in the local newspaper where the taxpayer's registered office is located. If the department cannot service the notice by any of these means, they can affix it in some prominent place at his last known place of business or residence. If it is not found, that his last place of business is not found, then the department can affix in the jurisdictional office of the taxpayer. Coming to the section 169, every decision, order, summons, notice, or any communication shall be deemed to have been served, even if we have not received on the date on which it is tendered or published, or copy thereof is affixed in the manner provided in the subsection 1. So if we serve the notice to the dispatch of delivery or physical delivery or electronic, date on which we have uploaded in the portal, or the date on which we mailed to the taxpayer, that date will be considered as the date of serving of the notice or order. When a decision, order, summons, notice, or any communication is sent by the registered post or the speed post, then the date of serve will be computed from the date of post to the period normally taken by post in transit. Let's say usually it will take 3 days. After 3 days from the date of register post, that will be considered the date of serving of the notice. Coming to the validity, how the notice should be. After receiving the notice, we have to check for the validity of the notice, whether the authority who is issuing the notice and to whom the notice is issued, whether it is issued to the company as a whole or individual, or to the director or the deceased one, etc. And jurisdiction of the authority, whether our issuing authority have a jurisdiction to issue the notice, and provision under which it is issued, whether under 73, 74, under section 122 or 129, etc. And the provision invoked in the notice for the tax, interest, and penalty. So, circular number 31/5/2018 has prescribed the monetary limit for adjudication authority. Up to 20 lakh, superintendent can issue the show cause notice under 73, 74 or pass an order. In case of CGST, it's 10 lakh, but as a whole, it is 20 lakh. You consider it as 20 lakh as a whole, that is CGST, SGST, IGST, including cess. Okay. Whereas in case of the deputy commissioner or assistant commissioner, the tax liability is about 20 lakh up to 2 crore. And above 2 crore, only the additional or joint commissioner can issue the show cause notice or adjudicate. Only those persons will have an adjudication authority. Coming to the preliminary objections. So, search, if any search or inquiry is conducted by the proper officer with powers and authorization, But to conduct a search under section 67, prior authorization should be there. If the search is conducted without any authorization and you have allowed department officers came and you have allowed to conduct the search, but later you know that they have conducted the search without authorization. Okay, that search may be illegal, but the evidence what they have collected during their search will become valid. Okay. So this was held by the Puranmal versus Director of Investigation. Okay. So anytime if department officers came for the search, ask them for an authorization. If they don't have the authorization, please don't allow them to carry out the search. Okay. Coming to the, as I discussed earlier, that GST is the self-assessment tax. If there is any short assessment or short payment or the non-payment, then the burden of proof to establish that there is a short payment or non-payment is on the department. Okay, the department need to issue notice with the supporting evidences, proper evidences to prove that there is a short payment or non-payment by the SSC. So burden is ultimate burden of proof to establish that there is discrepancy is on the department. Coming to the section 160 subsection 2. If there is a defect or mistake or omission in issuing the notice, you have to respond at the beginning itself. Okay. If the service of notice or order, any communication is not questioned at the beginning and you have responded to that notice, after later you cannot question the validity of such notice. Okay. If there is any defect identified, you should raise the question at the beginning itself, not the afterwards. You cannot, if you once you responded to that notice, later you cannot question. Okay. From document identification number, from 2019 onwards, this concept of document identification number has came into the picture. So in every search, summon, arrest memo, inspection notices, letter of inquiry, every document from the department should carry the DIN number. Okay, a document identification number. Without document identification number, the document is an invalid. Even the notice without DIN number is an invalid notice. First, as and when you receive the notice, check for the DIN number. And there is also circular 122/2019 on issued on file on 2019. There is mentioned that there is an exception to provide the DIN on the notices. That only in 2 cases they can provide the exception, that if there is any technology error or notice to be issued in urgency, in that case they cannot provide a DIN on those notices. But even in that case also, within 15 days they have to rectify that error. Okay, they have to provide the DIN within 15 days from the date of issue of the notice. So every notice should have a DIN. Preliminary objection. Coming to the rule 142, sub rule 1A. This is this is effective from 9/10/2019. So if you see here, the proper officer before issuing a notice under DRC 01, proper officer has before issue the DRC 01, they have to mandatorily issue DRC 01A. That is from 9/10/2019. So after that, this was amended from 15 October 2020. The word shall has replaced by may. So now it is only the optional. Earlier it is mandatory. That is from 9/10/2019 to 14th October 2020. It is mandatory. Okay. They cannot issue DRC 01 without issuing DRC 01A. So if you receive any notice between 9/10/2019 to 15/10/2020, check for DRC 01A, whether ensured department has issued DRC 01A. If they are not issued DRC 01A, then DRC 01 is invalid. Okay. And that also we have to respond at the beginning. Later you cannot question the validity of the DRC 01 show cause notice. Okay. And time limit to respond. There is no time limit prescribed in the statute or the rule. In the reasonable time, has to be given to the given to respond. That is 15 days to 30 days. It depends on the case to case basis. What is reasonable and what is not. Okay. Coming to the responding to notices. Ma'am, what do you mean? Ashika? If any questions are there? Sorry, some questions are there. I will answer it in a way. Ma'am, you carry on.
Okay.
Okay.
I hope screen is visible.
Yes, it will. It's visible.
Till now, Jagdish has taken us through the types of notices, time limit, and the scope covered. So let us now understand how we should reply to notices. Now, before understanding how we should reply to notices, over here, first I want to bring to your notice how the show cause notice is structured. Over here, I'm not talking about assessment. I'm talking about adjudication. When Jagdish was discussing, he was discussed on both the front. One, assessment, which over which he discussed about section 61, scrutiny of return, 62, non-filer, and 63, non-registration. Then there comes the adjudication. At that side, he discussed 73 non-fraud cases, 74 fraud cases, and 76 were tax collected but not paid. So from adjudication side, let us first understand how show cause notice is structured. Because if you know, at the time of intro, I said about that multiple show cause notices have been issued. The show cause notice which has been issued, you will be having the following format. Like first you will be finding there will be an introduction of the case, legal framework, what is the factual statement, appreciation of evidence, discussion on facts and legal framework, discussion on limitation, like he discussed about the time limits, extended period when invocable, when not. Then there will be calculation of duties and tax payable. Then officer will be framing the charge for it. And the person who is authorized to adjudicate that show cause notice. So this is a big basic structure which every show cause notice more or less carry. May not be having all the component, but will be giving you brief of the SSC. Now it's important to understand brief of the SSC. Sometimes if a person doesn't know about the SSC business, how you can expect that person to conclude the adjudication proceeding properly? So when you see the first paragraph, you should know how and what officer has understand by for your business. Because sometimes it has happened that officer didn't understood the business, even didn't written what actually they have done. They have written something else which is nowhere correlated to the clients, and they have proceed to adjudication proceeding. This can work as a very good defense in your reply, because when the SSC, sorry, when the officer don't know business, how he can conclude? That's the main thing. Like know your customer, we say. Same way, know your SSC is very important. Then what the officer has obtained the documents, what are the things he verified, he studied, and accordingly what the observation he made. When he made the observation, that observation, what is the base for it, means document relied upon, and what is the allegation he is framing, means what he is saying you have done wrong, or you have paid short payment of tax, or there is a case of input tax credit wrongly availed, refund not eligible, different allegation which they have framed. They have to form basis of it. They can't simply write ITC not eligible. This is not expected from the officer. Because if you will notice, when Jagdish was discussing in previous slides, he was saying there should be a speaking order. When he said speaking order, it means there should be a proper show cause notice. When we say show cause notice, Should be proper, it means it should bring out what allegation has been framed against whom and what he is expected to do of that. If these ingredients are lacking in show cause notice, that show cause notice will be regarded as valid, and will not stand in the law. When you will go to High Court, then you will observe most of the show cause notice will quash on this technical ground if it is improper. With this, we'll move one by one what you should do. While replying is more like analyzing the show cause notice. So with analysis of the show cause notice, we will be proceeding what are the things you should take care while replying to show cause notice. Analysis of the show cause notice, we have divided in two parts. One is to check the validity of show cause notice, and the second comes the main allegation and the document on the basis of which it has been issued. Now, validity of the notice, when we came over there, you will notice most of the thing Jagadish has already covered in previously, so we will quickly go through the same. The first part is 162. Now, this is very important. Reason being, when we talk about validity, the thing is that you are questioning that notice itself is improper under the procedure stabilized by law. As you would have noticed, when he was discussing, he was talking about various form, various time limit. It should be issued by proper officer. So it's very important that should be checked at the first. Because if you haven't checked and you have responded to it, this section comes as a rescue for the officer where it says if person acted upon it, then you can't question the same afterward, later on the proceeding. So it's very important at the first step, you should, if notice is not as per the law, should be questioned at that level only. What does validity of notice includes? One, like you would be seeing, I was repeatedly saying about the procedure stabilized by law. Procedure stabilized by law, I mean, if you will notice, he discussed about assessment and he discussed about adjudication. When he says assessment, there were different forms. When he said adjudication, there were different forms. In assessment, you notice ASMT 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, he was discussing. And when he came to adjudication part, he was discussing about form DRC01 and DRC07. All this are the procedure which are stabilized under law. In the law, it has been specifically provided which notice, which officer to be issued, which form it has to be issued, within which time limit it has to be issued. So whenever any roving inquiry comes from the department, the first thing you should say, what is the notice consist of? It should not be a plain letter issued by officer asking you to submit the document. He can't do that. He has to write under which section he is authorized to do that. Why he is collecting this document. Why will not be there, that you will come afterward. But under which section he is authorized to do so, and under which section that notice has been issued, need to be said by that officer in the letters issued by them. Then comes jurisdiction. Jurisdiction also plays a major role. Reason being, actually, in jurisdiction, there are three things. First is territorial jurisdiction. Second, subject matter jurisdiction. Third is monetary jurisdiction. Monetary jurisdiction, Jagadish take you there that he was saying about there is a monetary limit to issue show cause notices. 20 lakhs, 2 crore. So if any officer exercise its power beyond those jurisdiction, then also show cause notice become invalid. Now, when we say territorial jurisdiction, it comes in the play where the SSCs are unregistered. Registered SSCs are more or less are divided between center and state. They have been already been allocated. If you will go to GST logging portal and you go to my profile, over there you will find the jurisdictional officer against whom you lie. And it's very important, whenever notice is issued by your state jurisdictional officer or center jurisdiction officer, it should be issued by that officer. So most of the time in assessment, you need to take care that it is issued by proper officer. When it comes to audit, there is a separate audit officer of center and state who does the audit. Investigation, it's been done by enforcement officer and investigation officer, which is also separately they have been given power, and basically the higher commissioner officer decide who will deal with what jurisdiction and which SSCs to based on pin code or letters will fall under their jurisdiction. This is one part. When it comes to unregistered SSC, then jurisdiction will basically based on the locality. So territorial jurisdiction work. So it's also important to see who has issued you the notice. If you will notice, whenever he was reading, he was saying about proper officer, proper officer. So you have to see notice has been issued by a proper officer. Then is your adjudication officer. Now, when we say adjudication officer is, there has been a different when a person is issuing the notice and the person who is doing the adjudication. Because the thing is that person, just for example, let us take audit. When the audit officer is doing audit, you submitted all the things. He raised the audit observation, you replied to them. He didn't agree. He passed the show cause notice. Once he passed the show cause notice, if that officer only listened to your adjudication also, do you think he will agree? Obviously not. Who didn't agree before issuance of show cause notice will obviously all of a sudden will not agree after issuance of show cause notice. So here comes the adjudication officer concept. So where we say same person cannot be judged in the case because he only issue the notice. If he only do the adjudication, his opinion will not change. Proper opportunity is not provided to the SSC. Therefore, adjudication officer should more or less should be different from your issuing authority. If it is the same issuing authority who is going to do the adjudication, even you can make an application writing to your commissioner also, and even to that officer also, that as you have done the notice and all the audit proceeding, you are not authorized to do the adjudication. They will obviously shift that file to another person, maybe to the another department, or it may be a case of beside cabin. But you can get that option if you feel that that officer is not understanding what you are trying to say in your defense. Then comes your procedure prior to issuance of show cause notice. It's also important. It's not that things start with the show cause notice. Prior to show cause notice also things happen like assessment, audit, investigation. It's very important to look into what has happened prior also. Reason being sometime, like he said, illegal search, even though but document procure will be considered as valid. So at the first step, when you got an investigation notice, form INS 01. If you will notice in form INS 01, 67 says it should be authorized by additional commissioner, joint commissioner. So you should notice whenever anybody is coming to your office with that INS 1, whether that INS 1 is properly authorized or not. One. Second, in INS 1, there are multiple checkbox. It's not the case they will come without ticking, without any information. They have to specify why you have been selected for the investigation purpose. So any improper notices, if you see, you should not respond to it. At that stage only, you should stop. Then comes your service of notice. This is also important. Reason being, like most of us are now getting notices on email and GST portal update. Very rarely happen that they are doing post. Now, the thing is that nobody is every time seeing the email, or even if seeing the email, ignoring it or not taking care. Portal is more or less more of the people doesn't see every time online whether any notice has been updated or not, resulting in a case where the time periods which he has discussed getting lapsed. So what is service of notice? Now, it is important to understand that there is a difference between issuance of notice and service of notice. You may issue me a notice on 11th of January, but I may have seen that email on 30th January. It can happen. I went on a vacation. I was not aware, not having access to email. I could not see it. I saw on 30th Jan. Now 15 days was the time limit which got lapsed. What should we do? Now over here, it's to be noted, like section 169, he was discussing. It's prescribed about various mode the notice should be served. It also discuss when it will be considered as received, but it may be noted in case of email and portal, that section doesn't discuss when it will be considered as received. As per IT Act, Information and Technology Act, it is considered as received when you see. So even though notice was issued on 11th and you have seen on 30th, it will mean as service on 38th, not on 11th. But obviously, it's a point of dispute. You have to fight for it. But as long as there is no service specified for email ID and GST portal update, till that time, you can take the help of Information and Technology Act and still file. Now, it's also important as we are discussing about service of notice. Apparently, they have opened the amnesty scheme, whereby not amnesty scheme, they have provided an opportunity who have not been able to file their appeal. They have been given an opportunity. Window has been open on GST portal. Go there. If any of your appeal has not been filed, been time barred, or even if filed but got rejected on basis of time barred, you have the option. Go there, file your appeal, and get your case started. Then come which section. He discussed multiple section, multiple form. So it's very important under which section the form which has been prescribed it should be issued. So that also need to be checked. So it should not be a case of issuing of section 63, writing of ASMT 10, which relate to scrutiny of written. In that way, they can't issue the notices. Then there is a fatal deficiency, non-fatal. It's basically also a discussion. Like sometime, even though you are challenging validity of notice, you can't keep on coaching each and everything. You have to keep in mind some deficiency are fatal and some are discrepancy. In the sense like when the notice has been issued, officer has not supplied you relied upon document. Means the document on the basis of which he has issued a notice. Now you can't say that this validity of notice is not valid because it's a non-fatal deficiency. Because of it, notice validity doesn't fail. You can write a letter and get the notice. However, when it comes to the fact that it has not been issued by proper officer, then you can question the validity of the notice. That is where you have to check. We are just giving you a illustrative list. It's not like it's a full-fledged checklist. It's an illustrative list which every time whenever a notice is come, you have to keep on checking and see in your case what has been violated. So this is what we discuss procedure. Like if you will notice when he was saying somewhere he was saying along with. So when the notice is issued, show cause notice should be issued separately with Form DRC01. There are two notices to be issued. One is show cause notice itself and one is Form DRC01. So you can't issue Form DRC01 detailing all the show cause notice at once in that. In that case, it is a violative of procedure stabilized under law and you can question the validity of the notice. And we discuss about speaking notice and all. So this all part has been covered. Now, when we say which section, it's important, like scope of the section, how can be demanded, procedure to be followed, on whom can be demanded, person responsible, and by whom can be aware, by whom it can be demanded is the proper officer. Fatal deficiency and non-fatal deficiency also we discussed. So with this, we came to the validity of the notice part. Now we are going to allegation and issues. Now, allegation and issue is the main part of the show cause notice where officer write what you have not done correctly as per the law. That's why you are liable to pay this much of tax. You say me why I should not recover from. Now in this, the following points you should keep in mind. We will be discussing one by one. First, person on whom notice is raised. You will notice at the top, show cause notice when issued, or even in assessment notice when it is issued, it is written as after writing about the officer, place and all, date to this person. Now, to this person is very important. You have to see upon whom it has been issued. Now, another important factor which has come, the person against whom it has been issued is a registered person, unregistered person, or he is a receiver of the person or supplier of the person. That also you need to check. Reason being, every section work in their way. Like just for example, we have taken penalty. Now penalty section 122, when it start, it says taxable person. When it start with 1A, it's a person. When it start with 1B, it is for e-commerce operator. When it start with 2, registered person. When it start with 3, it's a person. So everything you need to check. You can't blindly go ahead and reply by only seeing the main part of the notices and go and reply. It will not work. Like another example which we taken is 35. 35 deals with maintenance of books of account. So books of account maintenance will come only when a person is registered. If a person is unregistered, the non-compliance of the same will not be a problem for that person. Okay, I'm taking one point. It's not that overall notice need to be read. It's just an example given based on which you have to decide how you are going to respond. Like in case of ISD, ISD is not liable. They can't recover from ISD. They have to recover from recipient. So that is also an important point you need to keep in mind. Then what is the allegation and issue raised? Means what the show cause notice is saying that you violated this provision. By way of violation, how much amount is payable, whether under which section he is authorized to collect, and then you have to see what are your defense to submit your reply for it. Now, construction of allegation is what are the things officer has to mention? Are the right objection placed on record? Now, let's take one example. Let's take example of block credit only, where the officer is saying ITC is not eligible of rupees 1 lakh, being it is a case of availment on motor vehicle. To that extent, officers stop. Can we say it's a right objection placed on record? Reason being, when you say motor vehicle, now motor vehicle can be good transport vehicle, it can be passenger transport vehicle. Even when we come to passenger transport vehicle, it's a case of 13% above or below, which also need to be checked. So you have to check is right objection is placed on record. And what should be your counter, what should be your defense. So fact of the case which the officer is stating should be proper. And to place that objection, he should be backed with the proper evidence. So if suppose this is actually a case of motor vehicle below 13, he can attach an invoice copy to show that why he is considering as ineligible. Then whatever mentioned in show cause notice, he can't go beyond that while passing the order. He has to restrict it to the same. Then you have to also see what is the reply you are going to give. It's not, see, he put multiple facts and all those facts you need to counter. Either you can accept, either you can reject, or you can reject and give your pointers. So you need to be careful. Whatever facts he says, like just for example, if we take another is, officer is saying, as you have not filed your return, GST 99C till date, I am imposing a late fee of this much. Now, the thing is that when you read that, you have already paid the late fee. Now, another point is, even though you paid the late fee at the time of filing of 99C, but officer is saying this. Over there, you have to mention that you have filed your GST 99C on this way, late fee of rupees, this is payable, which has been discharged. So you need to be very much careful. You can't straightforward write, I have paid the late fee. That will not work. You have to also give your supporting, put forward your fact, and you have to also counter what the officer is saying. One of the most important also is burden of proof. Now, most of the time when we say about GST, we say it's a self-assessment tax. We as an SSC are required to self-assess how much of tax payable or not. we are also doing self-assessment of our registration. By not taking registration is also a self-assessment. We are deciding whether we want to take registration or not, or we are exempted service, or we are below threshold limit. This is also a self-assessment. So we say it's a self-assessment tax. So we do our self-assessment and we declare how much payable, how much ITC eligible. So normally when the officer is saying my self-assessment is incorrect, burden of proof is on him to prove why my assessment is wrong. He can't just give one line, one opinion he can't form. He has to put forward that allegation with evidence or with proper ground that why I am not liable to take exemption or why this ITC is ineligible. But when it comes to input tax credit, burden of proof has been casted upon the SSA. So whenever ITC is there, be careful. You have to show that you are eligible for ITC. Otherwise, it's more or less on department more to prove that why you are liable to pay the tax. So that's why normally when we discuss, we say question the question. Basically, we are saying we should not go and reply. We should ask why you are thinking that this is incorrect. We should question why you think that this tax is payable. Instead of putting forward your reply first, your defense first, it's better to make them reply first that why they have done this taxability, to make them discharge their burden of proof first instead of yourself coming into defense position. Now, taxing ingredient are basically the things which is mentioned in the show cause notice, and you should be careful. It is there, like what is the transaction alleged, what is the coverage of transaction, means whether it's coming within the definition of supply. If he's saying whether he's saying it's to be goods or services, then what is the HSN code, what is that GST rate he is applying, is there any exemption or not, time of supply, place of supply, all things plays very important role. If officer is saying something, you should be also ready what your reason for either not paying the tax or claiming any exemption or ITC eligibility. Now, as we discussed, section and rule invoke is very important. You need to take care which section they are invoking for it. Like this is one example purposes only, it is covered over here. Like Section 74, as we know, is a fraud case, willful missuppression. So over there, if you are not collected the tax, an officer extend come tax benefit. Even though I have not collected the tax, an officer extend come tax benefit, it's mean he is accepting that I am a honest taxpayer. It's just my interpretation, some issue I could not discharge. So he can't invoke Section 74 and say that my intention were wrong. So it's just to show how contrary it is working. So you have to see in your show cause notice, or you have to make the officer do some error, or while drafting, he did some error, which benefit you can take. So because if he extended you come tax benefit, because only believing that you are honest, then how there can be a case of willful misstatement? Then this is what we discuss about 74, fraud, willful misstatement. Now, just because there is certain non-payment, certain tax didn't pay it, short paid, it doesn't mean there was intention to pay. Officer need to prove that I was knowing that there was a tax payable and I intentionally didn't pay it and I got some benefit of it and I have used some tool to do it. Like in case of bogus supply, he has to stabilize full line of change. He has to show that there was client was aware of it. He did something with the purpose to drive something that he need to prove in order to invoke 74 extended period. So you have to see which notice has been issued under which section. Either it is 73 or 74. You have to take care. Even if it is a 73, it doesn't mean penalty is automatic. for imposing penalty, it's very important that officers stabilize why he is imposing penalty. He can't simply write, I'm imposing penalty under 73 or 74. He has to write the reason for invoking such. He has to show that there's something they have done which is wrong. So that you need to check upon. Now, these are the points you should remember while replying to our notices, that as we discussed at the first part only, that order cannot exceed show cause notice. So if show cause notice is issued for 1 lakh, order cannot be passed for 5 lakh. That to be kept in mind. If notice is containing 1 issue, order can't issue for 5 issue. Even notice is issued with tax payable, order cannot be passed with input tax credit ineligibility. Because with the development of facts and submission, it may become that tax is not payable, but as it is exempt, ITC to be reversed. So order cannot be passed on the basis that ITC to be reversed, because that will be beyond the show cause notice. Then, like he discussed about the time limits, that there is a time limit under 73 is 3 years and 74 5 years. But the thing is that with the time limit, if they don't do or don't take the action, it is said in the law that it will be deemed to be concluded. So sometimes it is advisable to take adjournment, borrow some time. So with the time, sometimes some cases due to beyond the time limit get dropped. Not get dropped, basically they can't proceed further. Then whenever you are doing notices and all, you should also check other allied law, Companies Law, Income Tax Act, how you are reporting there. Like one of the example is director remuneration, though now with the circular that all the litigation and confusion which were there has been brought down. As in income tax return, director remuneration was shown as a salary under 92. For GST also, now they have said it will be considered as a salary and no GST on the same. So they are considering as outside the scope of supply. So that also need to be checked. It's one of the example I'm giving, but if you are in the industry and like electricity, so you have to also check the impact of Electricity Act. How the companies law, income tax law plays their role, you have to say. And then if it is based on examination of other person, you have been selected or you have been issued a notice just based on another person reply. Like most of the cases it's happened that that person is non-filer or that person is not there. Or he has said, I have issued you an invoice without supply of goods. But there may be a case there is a genuine supply has happened. So you should always ask for cross-examination. You should not straightforward leave that opportunity. There is an option you should write to your officer that I want to cross-examine. Because it can be happened to a case they took another person statement, right? Make them write all this thing or they write something because of which being an SSE may suffer. You have to also decide whether you should go for a detailed or short reply. There is no mechanism that if you will submit detailed reply, then only it will be. The thing is that you should understand what need to be replied. That what happened, we feel like we are the honest taxpayer paying tax of 1 crore, 2 crore. Why we have been issued notice? We should not be issued notice. How the department can does that? Leave all those things. If you will notice, when you do GST registration, you receive one email. Welcome to GST family. Once you are welcome to GST family, you are answerable to them. So you should never feel that why I have been issued notice. Once came, notices are bound to come when you have taken the registration. It may be 1 year, 5 years, or it may happen after 20 years. That's a different story. So you should not feel that. And once the notice come, you should understand under which section, which officer, what's the allegation. And then you have to decide how you have to reply. When I said about validity of notice is not the case, even though notice is invalid, you should question for that because you have to see what the issue is raised. What is the quantum involved? If suppose there is a small issue, even the notice, it's invalid. There is a small issue, even though notice is invalid. You should not go into all this thing. If there is a simple answer to that, where maybe a case like there has been obtained it has been noticed a difference between 1 and 3B and they had issued you a notice, which is not issued as per the form, but issued by a proper officer. And you have already discharged by DRC 03. It's not expected to go into all those things and reply that. It's better to say simple, I have paid by DRC03, here it is. So you have to also decide your approach. There is not a one-way approach. Even if you will notice 2A versus 3B cannot have a same type of reply. It changes with the facts of the case. That's what need to be understood. We can't go on repeated way reply. Every time, even every year need to be aligned. It's not about different SSC. Even one SSC, different year need to be analyzed to understand what has actually happened, and you have to decide how it to be replied. Detail and short is all upon you, is how you have to present your case, because one is fact of the case and one is the law. Now it's depend your issue is fact or law, and accordingly reply need to be decided. Now another thing which we have taken is benefit of ex parte order. It's all strategy which need to be decided at the starting point, how you are going to approach. Then obviously it is advisable to reply each and every notice, because non-reply sometimes result into a very waste of show cause notice, which what to say that officer unnecessary issues notice which does not have any lags or something they have issued. It's better to reply. It is always advisable. It's upon you how you want to reply, whether short, simple, you can keep. And it's better to keep short and simple at the initial stage to just give your facts of the case. Don't go into law and all at the starting. Another thing, you should always exercise an opportunity of personal hearing. You should not waive it. Even though officer says, okay, now I am there now. You said I have. You should always make sure, because opportunity of hearing, they have to record. So you should make sure you get the opportunity of the hearing and you respond to the same. Now with this, we come to the end of our litigation part of what are the types of notices, time limits, and what the steps or what are the things you should take care while replying to your notices. After this, we are just moving forward with one small reporting changes which has come in GSTR1. As you will be hearing about table 14 and 15, which is basically comes for the purpose of sale made through e-commerce operator. So table 14 and 15, they have introduced in GSTR1. After introduction of GSTR table 14 and 15, they have done minimal changes where e-commerce operators supply made through e-commerce operator were required to be mentioned separately. So as they have introduced separately table 14 and 15, they have removed table 4C, where supply made through e-commerce were required to be reported. Now it has been formed part of table 4A. So a person who is supplying through e-commerce operator is required to be reported as a part of table 4A. 4C has been removed. Similarly, changes has been made in table 5A also, like outward supplies has been there. Earlier, it was like excluding e-commerce operator, that they have removed. Now, all things you have to report at one place, like you were required to report for B2B. This is what the table changed. Table 4C removed and it has been clubbed with table 4A. 5B, which also is about the e-commerce operator detailed furnishing, that also they have removed. 5B, 7A, 7B2, all which relates to e-commerce. 9 also, which deals with the amendment, has been removed. In this, earlier there was amendment for debit note, credit note, refund voucher. From here, refund voucher has been removed, as refund voucher is basically issue where you have received advances on supply. As on goods, there is no tax on advances. There advance on service where you need to pay tax. Over there, refund voucher need to be issued. So for this amendment, they have covered only 9B and 9C. They have covered debit note and credit note, which is quite logical, because for advances, there is a separate table 11, where you need to report it. So plus, like in 9A, there was invoice number was mentioned, as it also include amendment of debit note and credit note. That change has been brought. It's a minor changes only. So they did that to make sure it's not only invoices, even the debit and credit note are also covered there. Like as we discuss about B2B supply, where it has been covered under table 4A for e-commerce, similar changes has also been brought for B2C. Over there also, where we used to report e-commerce operators separately as a disclosure. Already it is covered in B2C total, but as a disclosure where we need to report separately, that disclosure has been removed. Plus, B2C, they have been provided with months and quarter, as GSTR1 is month or quarterly fileable, even though IFF facility is there. So that they have done. Now, the main thing which they have come with table 14 and 15 is table 14 means lead to suppliers, means person who is supplying through e-commerce are required to file in. And table 15 relates to e-commerce operator, means e-commerce operator has to declare their detail in table 15. Now, moving ahead, what need to be disclosed and how it need to be disclosed is now by supplier, table 14. So he has to disclose all his supply which is made through e-commerce operator. That supply may be of two types. Now, e-commerce operator supplies which we have made somewhere is under forward charge, means where we are liable to charge and collect tax and pay to the government. And some supplies are of the nature where e-commerce operator is liable to pay tax under RC. Like we have Uber, Ola, Urban Clap. Over there, they are required to charge tax and pay to the government, not the main supplier who is actually supplying. So those types of services are covered, even though it doesn't matter where you are liable or where e-commerce is liable. Both the details need to be shown in table 14 because it is only for disclosure purpose to make sure that it's basically for RICO purpose, because likewise supplier has been asked to furnish those details. E-commerce operator has also been asked for to furnish those details, which will work as a tracking to make sure no supply has escaped from assessment. So by supplier, they will furnish the detail. E-commerce operator will furnish the detail in table 50. But when they are furnishing the detail, they will be furnishing the details of which they are liable to pay under RC. Like we discuss, Urban, Ola, Urban Club, this type of services. And that 9.5, where e-commerce operator is liable to pay under RCM, they have to disclose. And 15A is with amendments. If any error is there in reporting, you can amend it. So table 14 reporting, if you will notice, there are two tabs. One is liable to collect tax, which I said, which as a supplier, you are liable to pay tax. That you will discuss over there. And liability to pay tax under 9.5, where e-commerce operator is paying. So those details need to be disclosed over here. Now, when you are giving about the e-commerce operator details, you have to give those details on a summary basis based on e-commerce operator GST. So you have to report net amounts. There is nothing of B2B invoice wise detail because that is already captured in your table 4A. This is only for the purpose of disclosure to show that how much supply you have made through them. Similarly is the table 15, which deals with e-commerce operator providing those details. When the e-commerce operator is providing those details where they are liable to pay under RCM, now there can be supply to registered person and supply to unregistered person. When they are supplying to registered person, obviously input tax credit will kick in. So for registered to registered, it is important that invoice wise detail is furnished by e-commerce operator. And when it is unregistered to register, because government has recently allowed even unregistered person to do their supply through e-commerce, but it is only for goods and interstate is not allowed. Only intrastate you can do. So if is supply to registered, then B2B need to be furnished, means B2B like invoice wise detail need to be furnished. But if it is an unregistered supply to unregistered, then it will be place of supply and rate wise summary details need to be furnished. Like we discussed, that data will be auto-populated for ITC credit in the recipient place. That's why B2B detail need to be furnished. And they will be able to view recipient about the ITC credit coming from e-commerce operator. So with this, we come to the end of our session. If anybody have any query, they can ask for it. If anybody have any query, they can unmute and ask.
Yeah, there are some questions in the chat box.
Okay. All answer or some need to be?
Someone is asking about the export sales. Sir, can you please unmute and ask your question, sir?
Hi.
Hi, sir. Yes.
Yeah. First question I raised on this. My client has residential property let out to a corporate
Okay.
at 2,40,000 per month.
Okay.
So should she take a registration under GST?
Your client own the residential property, sir, or
Only residential property let out to a corporate, which applies under RCM, no?
yes, the recipient will pay under RCM, sir.
Yeah, correct. But should she take registration under GST or not required?
Not required, sir.
Not required? Yeah.
Not required.
Yeah, okay. Fine. Thank you.
Yeah. Vadivel, sir, hello. I think there are no questions. Last question is there, but I am unable to understand. In export sales, will uploading with tax or without tax? In this, I am confusing. Can you explain regarding this?
See, sir, export is allowed with tax also and without tax also. It's upon you to choose the option. One thing. Now it's depend whether you are doing export of goods or export of service. That is nowhere specified. If it is export of goods, it's better to do with payment of tax so that you can get the refund directly from the custom. And
Yes.
export of goods.
Is it taxable, sir? Yes, then you can go for with payment of tax, sir.
Because it will be linked with custom, refund will be easy.
Yes. You can get the refund easily if you go for with payment of tax. Yes,
Yeah,
you can claim the ITC, sir. No issue. You can claim 100% of ITC if you do 100% of and adjusted in other sales.
Now you are saying you have two. One is domestic sale, one is export. Now ITC which you have claimed, if it is eligible, not covered under block credit, you can claim those ITC and use to adjust against your domestic. Now, like we said, it's better to go with payment. Now it's all depend how much proportion is your domestic and export. Okay, because you are not purely in 100% export. So you have to work out which will be best suit for you.
If there is any unutilized ITC, if ITC is accumulating for you, then you go for with payment of tax. Otherwise, if it is adjusting for the domestic sales itself, then you can utilize it in the domestic sales. No. There is
Yes,
no
sir.
one-to-one concept.
So what we can do, you can write down your query to us. We will reply to the same because
Yes.
another session also need to be begin
Yes,
on
yes.
technical part. And we can plan for if you want, we can work upon which will be the best method for you to go with or without. Anybody have any other query? Okay, fine. So will Tarun?
Hello.
Yeah, it's to you.
Okay. Okay. I will share screen. Hi to everyone. And today's topic is advanced Excel formulas. And first, I will tell you how Excel formulas helps for accounts and CA professionals. Um, Excel formulas are crucial for accounts and chartered accounts, as they facilitate efficient financial analysis, data organization, and reporting. And Excel formulas benefit these professionals as automated calculations, data accuracy, financial modeling, various analysis, and audit trail, scenario analysis, financial ratios, and dynamic reporting, data validation, customized analysis. So we can use Excel formulas in various fields, and nowadays Excel is very important, and it's growing much bigger in all fields. We have okay, and now we will start with a small some XLOOKUP formula. How XLOOKUP helps for summarized data or getting unique particular value or particular cell. So XLOOKUP is similar to VLOOKUP, but offers more functionality. It's a modern and flexible replacement for functions like VLOOKUP and HLOOKUP and lookup functions. And XLOOKUP can be used to search for values in a data set and return the corresponding value in another row or column. So we know how to do VLOOKUP from left to right. So I'm not going to show this VLOOKUP function, but okay. This is the XLOOKUP basic, how to do the XLOOKUP functions. So first, it works on advanced Microsoft 365 and MS Office 2021 versions. So I will show you how to do XLOOKUP, very basic one. So we have to take equal sign, XLOOKUP, and we have to take a name field, lookup value. For that, I'm selecting this one. And lookup array. Lookup array is nothing but we have to select names, columns. So Control Shift down arrow, and then return array. We need any commissions or sales data. For that, now I'm selecting commissions data. For that, I'm selecting again this column, and I will press enter. So like this, we will get values. So it is easy to learn and easy to understand when compared to VLOOKUP. VLOOKUP only works from left to right. This XLOOKUP works or left to right, right to left as we use. So I will show you how to do XLOOKUP reverse method. For that, I will select again equal sign XLOOKUP, and so we are going from right to left in reverse method. For that, I'm selecting again names equal comma, and lookup array. For lookup array, we have to select, first we have to select this one, name. So after lookup array, this is the lookup array. And again, return array, reason we want return results. For that, we'll take sales or commission column. And now I'm taking commission column. So same, and I will press enter. So see, we are doing this XLOOKUP formula from right to left, left to right. We can use, and I will add more names here. You will get to know. Okay, like this we can use an XLOOKUP function. Now I will show you how to tackle this errors. For that same again, XLOOKUP. Sometimes when we, okay, this is XLOOKUP. Same method. Lookup value is name. And again, another commissions data. And I will press enter. Now it is getting, if I give any wrong name, it will show error. So we no need to see these errors. For that, we'll give another same formula. We will modify that formula. Here we can see this in brackets. These are not mandatory. If not found. So in this, I will give no something whatever we can give, and it will not show NA values. And I will press enter. And this is XLOOKUP error. And now I will show you XLOOKUP how to take multiple values in a single formula. In VLOOKUP, we have to give for each column formula. For every each column, we have to give one formula. In XLOOKUP, we can give multiple values at the same time. Now I will take XLOOKUP formula equal sign XLOOKUP, and I need name. So for that, I am selecting this one. And lookup array. Lookup array is nothing but name column we have to take. And here we have to take in return array, we have to select both columns, sales and commission. And I will press enter. See, you can usually get the values by using XLOOKUP formula when compared to VLOOKUP. And this is XLOOKUP, and I will move to dsum. Actually, dsum, okay, dsum function is categorized under the Excel database function. It's a the function helps to calculate the sum of significant specific fields, columns in a database for selected records based on user specified criteria. So now I will show you how dsum will work. Dsum, okay, function formula. For that, now I need a quantity based on these items. I can do this by selecting, by doing sum and selecting these all columns. we don't need like this. We need a particular, for a particular item, we need the quantity. For that, we will use a dsum function. Dsum sum, and here database is, this is the database. We have to select whole columns. And field is, we have to select this one. And, oh, sorry. This. And we have to select the quantity column also. Then we will get value is wrong. One. I will select quantity. Showing error. The base field, field I will select this one. And criteria is this one. So now we are getting memory card is 30 quantity. So this is the use of dsum. When we want a particular item quantity or price, we can select company name, whatever maybe which one you want, you can select by using dsum formula. And these are all same. If you want a d average formula, we have to select average amount and I'll show you. How to do dsum average. So again, I have to select a database and I have to select these fields, item name and company name and amount. Then we'll get the value. Showing error. I will show you this one later. Okay. We will move to group by and pivot. So this is a new advanced formulas. We can do group by without taking this pivot tables or anything. So the use of group by function formula is the group by function in Excel allows user to create a summary of their data using a formula. It is a group of it is a group along on one axis that aggregates the associate value. The group by function aggregates a range of values by row group. And the group by function can also be used to find an average, count, min, max, or any other aggregate value for one column based on unique values in other columns. So I will show you how to do group by. So now I will select group by equal sign, group by, and I want row fields. For that, we'll take a quick columns category. I'll select category. I want category. Based on this, I want a cost. What is the cost of that items? Then I will select sum. If you want sum, we can do some percentage, average, median, count a, min, max, product. These are called lambdas, lambda formulas. So now I will select sum and I will press enter. See, without taking any pivot tables, we can do group by, both group by and pivot both are same. So we can get a quick values by doing this without taking any pivot tables, without selecting any pivot options and group by options. If I want one more column sales, we can do same thing. And now I will select D, C4, I will select. This is a sales of group by category and and this is the use of a group by. We can do more things by adding other columns, sales and cost also. Pivot function is also will do same function. So I'm not going to explain pivot function. So there is another function array. So array function helps in array formula function helps in when you are using array formulas. First in Excel, array refers to a group of values. They could be in row or column or both. An array formula that will perform calculations on the array. And so let's take a quick look. Some of the sales data by month. So let's say how can we figure it the total rupees sold in that month and how it is useful is how it is useful means when we are working with large multiple data sets, the size of sheet will increase. For when we use an array formulas, we can reduce the size of that spreadsheet. So I will show you how to do this array formula. I will delete this one. First, we have to select these all columns. Then equal sign. So I will take quantity and average per sales, and I will click weight. So I will take this one into these. I will press enter. We have to press Control Enter. Sorry. Not selecting. Okay. Then I will press Control Shift Enter. When we see this, there is one formula. It's like you can see curly brackets, and this is called array. It will be useful in when you are working with a large set of data. It will decrease the size of sheet. This is the use of array formula. And last one is radio buttons. How to use the radio buttons in Excel. By using radio button, we can create dynamic filters for report. Then I will show you how to create this one. First, we need to take a buttons. From developer tab option, and here is one insert button. It's called form controls. In that there is an option button. We have to select this one. I'm already selected this one, so I arranged it. I will remove this one once, and I will show you. I'll just copy this. I will copy this one. Wait, I will show. We'll use radio buttons to filter this data. Now I will show you. Okay. Go to developer tab. In that, we have to take insert option. We have to select an option button. So I will give name here. I'll select control. Okay. Now I will copy paste this one. And I want to rename these option buttons names. For that, I am selecting right click, edit text. East. Based on data, I'm giving a buttons names. East. And again, we have to take a text. West. No. So we have to format this one. For that, right click, format control. And we have to click on cell link. I'll select this one and click OK. And it's showing a serial number. For this, again, we have to take separate columns 1, 2, 3, 4. One is east. Second one is west. And third one is north. And this is fourth one, south. And I will take same column names here. I will show you how to filter this data. Now we have to take a filter formula, equal sign, filter, and then we have to select all data, database. And again, we have to take department and equal sign. Here we have to take a VLOOKUP formula and VLOOKUP. And then 2, 0, enter. We found type correct filter showing some error. We look up. Sorry. We look up and I have to select this one and this one and 2, 0. Again, closing parentheses. And function F1 is not working. Shit. Sorry. It's not working. Once filter $. Okay. and we look up formulas 0. So, okay. And now we can filter by clicking these buttons, and I will hide this one. We'll hide this one. And see, when we select West button, it will show West West department name and amount. When we select North, it will show this. Like this, we can do format also for this one, conditional format. Now we will go to conditional format. New rule, and use the formula for this one. And I will select department, format. So I want outline text. Click OK. Format is not highlighted, but we have to we can do in this way by using radio buttons. We can filter the data. This is how we can do, and this is for today. These are the formulas we used, and I think everyone understands this group by, how to do group by, XLOOKUP, D functions, and radio buttons. And this is all for today. It's completed. And do you have any questions? I will answer for this one. Or else we can end this session for today.